Hey, 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 kings and queens, welcome. Come on in and get your friend chimed in. And remember to get your sword, your journal, a pen for your jams. Yeah, I got all the tools, y'all. And my tea. Look at my new mug, y'all. Tea fancy, y'all. Limitless faith. I gotta get me a straw for it though. Welcome. This song is called Seasons. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing, Queen Ruby? Can't separate me from you. There is a storm on the water. Hey, isn't that song cute? Seasons. God knows how to line it up, y'all. You got your friends chimed in. You got your tea. Do you have your hot tea grammatically correct? Did you go and get your hot tea? I don't want to have to turn my cup up. So I got me a random little straw. I'm supposed to be doing that in my link. I don't know if I did that. I don't think I did. It's supposed to pick up in my link. Hey, hey. Too late now, but we do it. But nothing can separate me from you. Give me my notes. Everything changes, y'all. Everybody changes. Seasons change. God remains. Me from you. It's 6:30. Boy, that time is not going to wait, y'all. Welcome, 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 welcome. I hope y'all have been having a beautiful day. I got gadgets to tell people production, y'all. Ooh. That's all I'm saying, y'all. I'm getting a little swig of this tea for my snazzy mug. Y'all see? I have to, y'all have to inbox me for that or text me. Don't send me no DMs. Just come in if you need to get a mug. I got the hookup. Got a couple of them. Anywho, our topic this evening is seasons, y'all. Welcome. Is somebody else there, but I can't see you. Anyway, the Clique matters. We're finishing out, y'all. And the Clique matters. This is part 5. This is our series. And the subtopic is seasonal. Just like the song, it's talking about seasons. So if you're new here, welcome to our Limitless Faith Inspirational Sunday evening. In case I didn't say, I'm your hostess, Dr. Jangela Durr, and my motto is everything is better with T and G. So y'all, let me go and dive on in. Who remembers the Peanuts? Y'all know about the Peanuts? That little cartoon that come on all the holidays. It was one of my favorites. Still is, y'all. I love to watch the Peanuts if I can catch it at Thanksgiving, Christmas. I think they have several series. It is so old, y'all. But there was this little character. There was Charlie Brown. Y'all remember Charlie Brown, the lead star? Mm-hmm. Then you'll remember his friend that had the little blanket, Linus. So y'all, let me tell on myself. For many years, I got this, it's like a shawl kind of blanket. It was I think it was a Dolce & Gabbana. No, was it Dolce & Gabbana? Or Dior or something. Might have been Dior. I got it when I was working at the second salon. So it was the royal treatment. Gone with some friend ladies to New York, got this blanket, and I bought one for myself, and I think I got my auntie or somebody one, which I should have killed. I'm just saying. But anyway, I wasn't an Indian giver. But I would take that shawl blanket when I traveled. And I'm going somewhere with this story, so buckle up. So I take this blanket with me, y'all, every trip. Every trip. I had a little neck pillow that had the different states on it. It was like a little symbolization of I'm going somewhere. I'm traveling. And then I had this blanket because it'd be freezing on the plane, and I don't have anything too bulky, but it's a little something to throw over me. So I traveled about a couple years back almost now. And this blanket that I love so much, I'm telling y'all, when I said it was old, people were still begging me for it. I would take it to church because it'd be cold at church. And then I started thinking, I said, how long have I had that blanket? Did I have it? I had that blanket, y'all, I know, for about 20 years. And I know you say, oh, about 20 years. I'm serious, y'all. I had it, for probably almost 20 years. Like I said, I got it in New York. And so Holy Spirit made me think about that when I was doing my notes about seasons. And he brought up about the reminder about how Linus kept that blanket, y'all. But the blanket was a representation. It signified comfort. Told y'all I was going somewhere. It signified security. And then Holy Spirit made me run that together because he said, well, you had that blanket the same way. And I used to call it, y'all, my Linus blanket. So when it went missing, I was like, oh, my blanket. I called the hotel back. Nobody. I said, oh, well, Lord. And Holy Spirit said, you've had your season with that blanket. It served its purpose. Much like our topic, the clique matters. There will be people that will come and go. Yeah, it's interesting how God will give the word and then he'll just confirm it. And you'll think it's just people say, oh, it's just that's a coincidence. No such a. So when I thought about the significance of that blanket, how I love that blanket and held on to that blanket, it was a memorabilia. Just like several things that your parents may have given you, blankets, clothing, just little monuments, little figurines and stuff that you keep. But he showed me that blanket. He said, Jan, you had that blanket as long as you needed to have it. That's a long time. And I'm telling you, saw it, I promise you, people are still asking me for that blanket. But why am I sharing that? Because we have things and people that we've been holding on to that are keeping us from pivoting to our next season. Tell y'all the clique matters. And so hanging on to relationships because they're familiar and comfortable. And that's whether you're dating, whether you're hanging out, talking about these are my besties from elementary. And I know y'all hear me keep talking about the clique. Yes, I talk about it about every other week. We've been talking about this series, but I'm talking about before this series. I've been talking about how the relationships matter. You become the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I know you don't get it, but faith comes by hearing. So I make sure you hear it quite often because as you mature, especially as you mature in the things of God, you'll start to say, we don't seem like we're gelling too much. People will come and go, and then there'll be people you talk to. I used to talk to my friends sometimes every day, hanging out, traveling with them. Y'all, I don't barely see them, barely talk to them, traveling none. We probably hadn't traveled in years. Still love them. I still love them. Let me say that. I still love them. They don't fit the season that I'm in. It's like I love my class. My class got together and they hung out. Now, I went with them last time, and Holy Spirit said, you are not going. You're going to the class reunion, but you're not going out to the class reunion that they just had hanging out. I couldn't do it. I had to be okay with not going. And you have to be okay with y'all letting go. It's hard. Oh, it's hard when you love people and you get so attached. They become soul tied to you. See, soul tie is not just sexual. It's also this friendship love that we have, filial love that we have for people. And when the seasons change, you have to be willing to release it. I'm at my notes, y'all. You know, I always try to make sure I'm on target. So seasonal relationships, y'all, they are connections designed for a specific purpose. And that's why the song was Seasons. I thought that song was so groovy, y'all. God just gives me, I'll sit there and be scheming, like, Lord, give me a word, give me a song. And then I may be watching something, and then I'll get a word out of it, and it'll start to confirm. And so Anyway, it's designed for a specific period, purpose, life stages. And so much so that he reminded me by people that I've been seeing that I had friendships with over the years that we don't talk anymore. Not necessarily that we all fell out. We're just different. And so he reminded me to get this little journal. This was a journal. I created this. Paper falling out. I created this journal for my prayer group. Of just a few people. It was a little gift that I did some years back, and I was intentional. These different people, because I love taking pictures. I've been slack. I've been slack, but I took pictures because as I have been studying through the years, they tell you to get the memories, right? Most of those people on that journal, I don't talk to. I just saw one of them today. I see one every now and then. One of them is deceased. Somebody's moved away. But they were different parts of my journey, y'all. Speaking engagement, old client. Most of them were clients. I think all of them, just about except for one, maybe were clients. But why am I sharing that? Because the seasons change. They're married, have kids. Some already were married. Some weren't. Some were single. Some have lost those that they were married to. So their seasons that I had with them changed. Some are no longer clients. And it's okay. I do not love them. They're just not a part of this story now. So when you think about your relationships being seasonal, just like I was holding on to that blanket and Linus was holding on to that blanket, who or what are you holding on to? That God is telling you this is a season to let go. I told you it can be difficult. So the relationships are not necessarily meant to last forever, y'all. Letting them go when the season changes is necessary. If God is going to take us higher, we have to be willing to release. Y'all, I think about those relationships, and some of them never served me. I always, if you can out-friend, and I never did it to talk about anything. I did to talk about it. But, you know, when you go through these changes with people and then you look at the imbalance, you say, I call them friend, bestie. Like, but let me self-assess that. Let me go back and look. Let me sit with myself. Not to overthink it, but to think about things that I need to do differently. So the aspects of seasonal relationships, y'all, that we need to focus on, the good, the bad, and the indifference, is who or what do we need for this next season. So the purpose that's driven behind these seasonal relationships is because they appear so that they may teach you, support you, or bring joy during a specific point in your life. Season, reason. Some say to release a demon. Because some of them will. And some of them will show you the areas where you're struggling. Some of them will put you in a place of hurt. But all the things that we go through, y'all, are not to destroy us. I look back at those relationships and I think about what the word said. Better the ending of a thing than the beginning of it. Because if I go to the next level and they're a Judas and they're a manipulator or they're a underminer, that can cause me to miss my next step. You want the right people on the team. The lifespan, y'all, of these relationships, they may last a few months. Some of them come from a job or college. I had college friends. I didn't have a lot of people that I called friend in college. I had a boyfriend, maybe a couple of friend girls, and the people that several of them that I thought, we friends. Don't talk to any of those people. Take it back one. One of them became a manipulator, cut her off. The other one I'm still friends with. She lives in Virginia. And we've had our seasons, y'all. Even being friends from college. We're telling my age. 20-something years ago. Y'all, and I love her. We just in different places in life. We live in different places, so we can't just up and be like, girl, let's meet for coffee. Not unless we both get to the place where we're financially rich, where we can just say, girl, let's hop a plane and meet in X, Y, and Z. And why am I showing that? Because if you're not going in the right direction together, you're going to do this. You're going to pull apart. And that doesn't make it bad, y'all. Doesn't make it bad. So purposeful end is when the lessons are learned or the life situation changes. These relationships often end naturally. Some of these people just naturally fell away. And the reason that I know that this was a lesson, because I kept hearing, if they wanted to, they would. I just kept hearing that. It was always, well, I hadn't talked to so-and-so in a while. And the Holy Spirit would check me. If they wanted to call you, they would. Just like you call. You're busy. And you make room for these people to go see them, to call them. And I haven't done the greatest because I got myself a little all over the place, but with good intention. But the same way I make room for them, shouldn't they be able to do the same? And people think that they're busier than I am. And I'm like, no. Just because I don't tell you everything I'm doing. Like, what you doing? A little everything. Well, why are you doing that? And I start going down and listening. Like, girl, how you doing that? The grace of God. He says, do all you can while you can. And then it said you have to have acceptance. Instead of forcing longevity, we want to make people go to the our lifespan with us, y'all. Want them to grow old with us, but then it's not necessarily God's plan. It said instead of forcing longevity, it is encouraged to celebrate the love for that season. Cherish the memories. And I do. That's why I told y'all I created the little book. Put the pictures, and I said, I'm going to do another one of those. But you think it's not hard to look at those pictures and say, we had so many good times together, and that we don't speak. We prayed together, but we don't even talk. But I had to realize those were memories. And I can look at that book because I've taken those pictures and celebrate the memories, not the disappointments. So as seasonal relationships, y'all, let me give you some little examples. Your friendships, your childhood friend, your school, your work friends, they fade away when you move on to a different life phase. True. Some I still kind of associate with, but I'm being honest, we're not like that. We're not even personable. Like, we don't check on each other. Now, if it's an emergency, yes, but like staying connected, no. I watched how they weren't really my friend. I watched how they didn't show up for me. I watched the envy. I watched the comparison. And I just looked back and I said, well, dog, what do people think friendship is? And I get disheartened. And the Holy Spirit said, stop doing that. Every season I've given you somebody. Every season. God knows exactly what we need when we need it. Statement that they made at church earlier. He does. He knows exactly what we need. He knew the ground was dry. That's the reason they mentioned it. And they said, it's storm. And then Minister Minnie said, it's purpose in that too. They were talking about its purpose even in the rain. And you may have had this one says romantic connections, y'all. So relationships that bloom for a period of time. So yeah, you have relationships that turn into heartbreaks, disappointment. But let me say this, what I learned. How do you know if something is good if you never had something that's bad? How do you know if it's bad if you never had anything good? So these things are intentional. Just like with faith. How do you know if it works if you don't use it? And then mentorship, y'all. People who guide us during a specific career or personal transition. I can't say I had that many mentors. I started asking people. I was like, I need a mentor. Like, I didn't really have any mentors. Besides books that I read. My mom was a good example for going to work. But like certain things that I needed, I found it in what I thought were friendships. Like my friends, I had some friend guys because even though I had my uncles, I didn't have my uncles, if that makes sense. So I didn't have the guidance of people teaching me how to navigate dating and how man's supposed to treat you. And I definitely didn't get that from my dad. Now, he showed me what not to want. Yeah, he showed me that. But all in all, mentorship is important because mentors have been there, done that, right? And for me, I don't think that I want to make every mistake. I don't want to learn every lesson hard. And you shouldn't want to. And that's why you have to learn how to celebrate those seasons and learn when to let go. So how we're going to navigate them, we're going to be present. While I'm with these people, I make the best of it, create the memories, take the pictures, spend the quality time, get to know each other. And then when it's time, you have to be willing to let go. And it doesn't have to be abrupt. It can be gentle. You say, I don't think we're going in the same direction. I recall telling, and I had this in my notes and erased it. And the Holy Spirit just brought this back to me. Had this young lady that befriended me. And then I had this other, it wasn't a prayer group yet. It was like God was giving me the vision, but it wasn't coming together yet. So I get these ladies together, several of the clients, and most of them were single parents. Most of them, I think just about all of them just may have had kids. Some couples didn't have any. We get together, we go to dinner, we go to a movie, we let them pick, we celebrate their birthdays. And God had been showing me to try to build community. So the young lady was married, but they had been separated, got back together. And I'm not trying to gossip y'all, I'm just using this to show you. So the season that I met her, she had been separated, befriended, hanging out, and then she got back with the husband. So we started this little group. We hanging out. We on horseback riding, limo riding, mani-pedi, massage. Well, I mean, like, we had a really good time in that season. Then it got to be comparison. It got to be jealousy, messiness. And I said, I called her and told her, I said, I'm going to have to discontinue the group. I said, it's not going the way God gave me the vision to do. And I said, it's becoming a little, I should have said toxic. And it wasn't her. It wasn't directed at her. I was expressing. It's a lost art in communication, y'all. It truly is. And so as I expressed myself, I thought she received it in love. And I said, I'll still come visit you, but I can't do the group anymore. So we had an event coming up. They were going to the dinner and the movie. They were right across the parking lot. And I called her after this conversation, like, to see what she was doing, because she was driving up. No call back, no answer. My spirit was kind of grieved. I was like, no, that's interesting. She didn't call back at all. Now, mind you, I told her I still come see you. I said, just can't do the group. I can't. It's getting messy. I can't do that. I can't. That's not the purpose of it. Didn't know she had took offense, and I don't know what the reason was for the offense, because as a friend, I went to her and told her. I didn't belittle her, talk about her back, because whatever I said behind their back, I could say it to them. The thing is, most people can't handle the truth. Anyway, long story short. So I got to the event. I went on. I had talked to a cousin about it, got a little counsel. And she said, if it doesn't feel good when you get there, she said, you got your keys? Yes. You got your purse? Yes. And she said, get them and leave. So let me tell y'all how I was so peaceable about it. I had been working, got off and kind of felt rushed, went on. And when I got there, she had already ordered her food. And I said, didn't say a word. I sat down and observed the energy. Another friend girl, she came and she said, you already got your food. She said, oh yeah, I was hungry. Attitude. So I knew. I'm telling y'all, seasons with people, you'll serve your season and then it'll be awkward and uncomfortable. But anyway, so I ended up, it was weird. I said, okay. I saw them just like I'm looking at this cut camera. I got up. I said, did you get the tickets? She said, mm-hmm. And I accidentally bumped something on the table while it was like a bottle fell over, just about slightly bumping the table. She said, I said, okay. See, I had already had the pep talk. And this is what I'm telling you. I'm using this parable because we see the signs and we don't want to let go. And so I asked about the tickets. She said, yeah, I got them. And she put them out and I said, oh, how much were they? She told me, I think at the time, $8. She said, about $8. I said, okay, thank you. Put the money out, slid it across the table. And I said, thank you. She said, I said, you can keep the ticket. And she looked kind of funny. I said, give it to somebody else. Y'all enjoy. I got up, went to the bathroom, and I didn't cry. I'm telling y'all, I was so together. And it was difficult because she and I had traveled. We'd been hanging out. I had stayed at her home with with her and the husband and the kids. And I'm not a disrespectful house guest. I want to treat it just as good as I want you to treat mine. And so when that relationship disconnected, to this day, she almost can't look at me. Not only did the season end, she picked up with one of the other young ladies in the group and they befriended me and became friends. They unfriended me and then they became friends. Y'all see how I'm looking? To this day, from that day to this day, the friend who was my mutual, that betrayed me to be friends, she's never brought her up. Does it matter to me? because she still gets the service. I don't have any beef with her. I told her, I was hurt. And I had an apologetic moment, but not for that, right? But the season changed. The tide changed. And you have to learn how to navigate these relationships. I know people don't like to talk about their truth. Don't tell your business. People going to judge. Let me tell you, if you keep your mouth shut, they're going to judge you anyway. They're gonna have a preconceived notion about you anyway. Give them something to talk about. See, I'm gonna tell them the truth. And I'm telling you, there was a seasonal relationship. It served its purpose. I appreciated her. I didn't ask her for anything. We had a good time while she was going through her season of separation. When they got back together, we still hung out. It was different, but we still hung out a little bit. I still checked on her. And then I had to let go. I was a single friend. Had to let go. So look at this. It said, avoid overcommitment. Recognize that every connection is not meant to evolve into a lifelong commitment. We overcommit, y'all. I used to be loyal to a fault. Loyal to a fault. You hear me? But you better ask. I don't have to change my number. I know how to block you. You're going to have to call me from somebody else's number. And then when you call from that number, I'm going to block that number too. So I don't have to change my number. I don't go and hide, and I can see you and can speak. And if you don't want to speak, I'm okay with it. Because the people that are going up with us are going to meet us on the way up. Kings and queens. You have to be willing to release that. Don't stay where God isn't. And I knew God wasn't in it. They saw me going to church and on my journey and choir. And I knew I was nowhere near. Well, let me take that back. I was in a good place. I sit in the bed in that season of isolation. I read that word. I meditate the word. I go and get in the presence of God. And I started putting more energy into it. They weren't doing that. And most of them still aren't. They're just going to church. Church has to be a thing that you do in here, not outside. Looking good to go to church just to say I went. Oh, the pastor preached. Did he? Did it prick your heart? See, I don't go to church for a pastor, period. I go for the word. If the Lord leads me there and I get a word, I'm glad with it. If I go and I don't get a word, I'm not going back. But I still get something out of it. So just like Linus, y'all, going back to the blanket. Just like Linus. Now, Linus kept his, but he kept that blanket because of comfort. But just like Linus, I had the blanket. And then when it was lost, I grieved about that blanket. I was like, oh, my blanket, oh. And then the Holy Spirit gave me a peace. It's like, it served its purpose. God can't give us better. Farmer Lou gave this little analogy about this little girl. Her dad wanted to give her a replacement locket, but she had this little necklace that she loved. And she would just hold on to it. And her dad asked for it, and she wouldn't give it to him. And she had it so it was turning green, tarnished. Now I'm ad-libbing a little. And then one day he asked for it, and she finally let it go. And he replaced it with a new and better. So I'm telling you, when we just let go and we let God, if we let God do it, we let God bring the connections, or we let God put us in position to be at the right place at the right time, then we'll meet the people that we're supposed to have for our next. And we can miss them holding on to the people that seem familiar. So right here at the time. Just like the seasons change, people will too. And they don't always change for the better. I watch people start to get free from marriage and kids grown and gone, and they start going backwards. And I've been saying, Lord, isn't it time up for that? But as Pastor T.D. Jakes said, you can't skip the steps, because you'll have to repeat them. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 and 2. I know y'all thought I didn't have any word. I did. And I've been giving y'all some of the same ones, because faith comes by hearing. Let me get over there. So again, we got to learn to let go. Let go, release. Allow God to bring us a new. And let me say this. Don't self-sabotage. Stop asking God. I've said it before, but we've been asking God to give us something that we won't do the work with. Relationships, they say, oh, women are messy. People are messy. I went to barber school. I watched the men compete repeatedly about who cut the best, who could get the most girls. And I'd be looking at them saying, oh, y'all are stupid. I was young. But I was like, what? They're like, you just didn't talk to anybody because it's a competition. And if you just keep your eyes on your own paper, Ecclesiastes 3:1-2. These blessings that God has for us, as my pastor said, are positional. You have to be studying, preparing yourself for what you're asking God for. So to keep everything, this is King James. It said to everything, excuse me. I said to keep, I started reading wrong. To keep to everything, there is a season. A time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, which I just planted, y'all, some peppers and some tomatoes. And a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill. Let me just go on over. A time to kill, a time to heal. A time to break down, a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. You see this? Seasons. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. To everything, there is a season. So again, y'all, the cliques matter. And some are just going to be seasonal. So that's it. I had to lean on that one. Y'all see, I had to lean. You gotta let go. God can't give us greater if we keep holding on to what no longer serves us. And I want all my stuff. I want my destiny helpers. I want the people that's supposed to be on this journey to help me get to my next. And I want to be in a good space so that I'm not the cause of the destructions. So learn to be okay in your isolation seasons. Learn how to stay focused, y'all. It's challenging. I know. But it's doable. All right. Something with that solemn face. I enjoyed y'all this evening. I don't know what I did with I'm learning something new with my media, y'all. So I was trying to do it through my link on my flyer that posts up, and I don't have to post all the million flyers now. I can do it and post up a little thing. They've changed it, updated a little bit, but I don't even know if I pushed play over there. I thought I did, but just in case I didn't, I'm going to figure out how to go back and share. Okay, so have a phenomenal evening, kings and queenies. Thank you for chiming in again with your hostess with the mostest, Dr. Jangela Durr. Y'all be blessed, rest well, stay safe, and keep a sound mind because people are going crazy out there, y'all. All right. Have a good night. Lord will, we'll be back here next time. Next week, same time, same great place for our Limitless Faith Inspirational Sunday evening here together in the presence of God. Have a good night. Ta-ta.